So that's all kind of pointless what I just did. How we can put that sound on my wall. That will create a three-dimensional effect. Today, I'm going to turn one of my favorite song lyrics into a piece of wall art. This project I've had in my head for a while. I'm a sucker for quotes, but it seems every quote that I appreciate and I like is like the darkest thing you've ever heard. You forget what you want to remember, and you remember what you want to forget. One of my favorites. But, so I've decided on Bob Dylan's Maggie's Farm. I believe Dylan wrote it about oppression back in the day. For me, it's the corporate world. It's telling the corporate world to F off. And I dig it. So here we go. Well, he hands you a nickel, and he hands you a dime, and he asks you with a grin if you're having a good time. No, I ain't gonna work on Maggie's farm no more. All right, so let's figure out how we can put that sound on my wall. I'm going to export that and take it into another software. Okay, I have just imported me saying my lyric from Maggie's Farm into wavevisual.com. Now, this is the waveform. This is probably 10 seconds or so. So how this works is from left to right is time, right? So from here to here is time. Up and down is amplitude. It's just a visual representation. I'm going to get it to where I can work with something. I can change the bar thickness. See how it loses resolution each time? That looks pretty clunky. Perfect. That right there. That's what I want. Okay, now I'm imported into Illustrator. With Adobe Illustrator, I just used the scale tool, I believe is what it's called, and it tells me the exact height and width of each little picket there, all the bars. So now I'm going to print that off. I'm going to head down to the nut farm, and I'm going to get to work. Let's go. I have all my basswood. It's 3 inches. I need to rip them all down to 1.5 inches. Then I will cut them to the length, and then I will stain them different colors. I have a bunch of different widths as well. That will create a three-dimensional effect. Okay, let me explain this wood. This is called basswood. It's lightweight, which is why I got it. I was unsure. I had multiple designs in my head, and I knew I needed to keep the weight down. It's just stupid expensive. If I knew I was going to fabricate this the way I did, I would have just got a 1x6 by 10 foot long or something for $10 and planed it down, ripped it down, and I would have saved $90 or something. I'd probably spent $100 on wood. So go to a hardware store if you want to go cheap, and I would next time. Now I'm going to just rough it to this shape, and I'll get the heights after that. One, two, three. 1, 2, 3, 4. I've got everything laid out. Nothing's cut lengthwise. See that? I'm also going to use this, which we did earlier, that shows all the heights. I think what I'll do is end up using, like I'll cut that one here, and I can still use that piece. So that's all kind of pointless what I just did. 19 1/4, 21 1/2, 20 3/4. If we can't get a 4 1/4 somewhere. Does that make sense? I got my heights all marked out. I'm gonna go chop them up. You wanna explain what you're doing? So he's doing all the work by finding the centers. So I can just lay a laser on the wall. And that's how I'm gonna find the center with a laser, like Star Wars. Is that what you were going to say?
Yeah, that's pretty much the plan.
Perfect. Okay, I've got everything laid out, cut the height, cut the width in the right order. Now I need to sand it and start staining these things. I'm gonna stain it with some vintage blue, espresso, true black, Sedona, which I don't want, and phantom gray. Another money saving tip here. I think I got 4 or 5 different types of stain, which is not cheap either. And I used maybe half a cup for all of it. I think I would have just, if I was to do this again, I think I would just create my own stain. I saw some people use coffee to stain wood, some type of oil. I would figure that out and do that for a lot cheaper too. I'm just lazy and went for convenience. Okay, they're all stained. Now I've got to put them on my wall somehow. Welcome to my living room. Maggie's farm is going right there. I got my work shoes on today. Let's get it. Check this thing out. It makes a sine wave. Can you see that? Pretty cool. I'm known in many mathematician circles, okay, that I'm the guy that measures twice and cuts once. But today, I'm gonna use a laser. Laser level because I'm lazy. Check out my precision here. Speaker, spice rack, laser. That is precisely a speaker spice rack from the ceiling. Exactly where I wanted it. Okay, I've made an adjustment to my laser height. I've taken away the spice rack. I've added 4 books and a little guitar amp. Perfecto. Now, as you all saw previously, my dad has marked the centers. Something that I advise doing, but I probably wouldn't have done. And I numbered them. So if you do that, make sure you write better than I do if you're gonna take on this project. Mark the centers. That way it's easier to stick them on the wall. Since it's an apartment and I'm not really allowed to drill into the concrete walls, don't look in the other rooms. I'm gonna use these 3M command strips for all 35 of these things. Done. Maggie's farm is on my wall. That was a little too arts and craftsy for me. It's the thought that counts though. I like what it represents. No, I ain't gonna work on Maggie's farm no more. Thanks for watching. See you next week. Hey friends, it's Polly here. Hey, if you dug that video, you might want to check out some of my other playlists. Studio tips, DIY builds, gear reviews, guitar lessons. Welcome to the family. If you haven't yet, please subscribe and I'll see you in a couple days.